Now, from diesel, petrol, aviation fuel to cooking gas, it appears that Nigeria's energy crisis is insurmountable. Scarcity of liquefied petroleum gas, also known as cooking gas, has hit Lagos and other states. Now, the other affected states are Katsina, Sokoto, Delta, Kaduna and Kano. The rise in prices of cooking gas became noticeable since late October, causing a continuous rise in prices. GKB, this thing has really got me a little bit worried, because I remember the last time I bought gas, cooking gas, was about 6,000 naira. That was last year.
12 kg.
12 kg. And then
that's the cost
for half
6 kg.
For half 6 kg now. But when you think about this, one is wondering the broader implications of this development. I'm looking at those who sell, the food vendors, the restaurants. What is the broader implication of this? Because if ordinary household cooking is difficult, what about those who are into commercial business? What happens to them? What are the implications of this?
Even for the ordinary households we are talking about, a lot of people are already moving out of their budgets. I know people who have moved away from the 12 kg you mentioned down to 6 kg. And I know of a woman who now takes in a gas cylinder and lock it up. Nobody else will have access to the gas, so they will not waste it. And with the cost of electricity, the options are out. Unless you want people to go back to cutting firewoods.
It's not even available. It's been exported.
So we are in a catch-22 situation. We are proponing for a cleaner energy. People cannot afford it. I know, because this morning at NNPC in our area, it is 1,000 per cubic meter. And they told me if I should walk down, I'll see it for 1,001.
Yeah.
That I was even lucky because...
That's for a kg, per kilogram.
Yeah. They know who I was, that's why they're selling at the old price. And there's even no guarantee, because 3 weeks ago, it was 5,400 for the 6 kg. 5,400. Now, 3 weeks later, it's 6,000 now.
It's really baffling, because it's...
Because normally all over the world, governments
should regulate.
Try very hard to make sure that the price of food
is available to all.
So that they will not lead to riots or lead to people doing stuff they don't want to do. And if nothing is done quickly, I'm afraid that's where we're heading. Because if people now imagine the amount of time you need to cook, that means beans is out of the equation.
Unless you use electricity.
And the electricity,
that is if you don't have prepaid, if you're not using prepaid meter.
So all of us can start using Indomie. 2 minutes, not possible.
No.
But Emeka, when we look at the options, if we're looking away from gas, because that is the only option that most Nigerians have, and that is about the only clean energy we have. We don't want to talk about charcoal, which is not clean enough. We're talking about electricity, which is not available. So what then is available for people like who are in the low-income cadre now, they can't afford the amount of cooking gas right now on retail?
Yeah, you see, it's really unfortunate. The situation in the country right now is such that kerosene, which was said to be the poor man's alternative, I think is now 1,003 per liter. Now, cooking gas is out of the way. And I even saw one story where somebody was saying that part of what is being sold to people also contains liquid. So that when you shake the cylinder, it's as if there's some water in it. So what value are people really getting beyond just the cost? So it's also just like the fuel now. You're talking about 6 something, but you are not sure that the quality and the quantity. Maybe somebody is selling a fuel of 300 naira for you at 640. So it's a sad situation. But well, government has given the assurance that the situation will stabilize in the next few weeks. I hope it does before we get into the Yuletide.
Yeah, that's another issue.
You see, around that time, people do a lot of cooking, festivities, and all of that. And if gas is not available or is expensive, then where does the hope of the ordinary Nigerian lie? I think the government, well, the situation where the dollar naira rate is really showing some kind of adjustment, let me call it that. I hope that's what the government has said it will do by December, that it will get to by December. I hope it materializes, and that at the end of the day, it will positively affect the prices of goods. But you know, in Nigeria, when prices go up, they hardly come down. Sometimes they do, somehow, but I just hope that somehow things will stabilize, because people are really complaining out there.
But do you think perhaps this is because of the rise in dollar? Because some marketers say we have enough gas, so we're not really importing, more or less. So we have enough gas. Even the federal government was even able to support the production of gas. So there isn't any reason for importation of gas.
The middlemen are responsible. But that's not an excuse. There's a government in place. Let them enforce their own laws. Because I spoke to one of the distributors yesterday, and he said that they have enough gas. But obviously there's a meeting somewhere where they all agreed on the amount they are going to sell.
So they're cashing out on all the
so we are caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. Because if Nigerians are getting together and forming a cartel on how to exploit us, it's still the job of government to ensure that this is not happening. And about the fuel, I've been suspecting that for a while now.
Yeah.
That the quality of fuel we buy for our cars are not really what we pay for. Because normally there's an amount you buy, amount of liters, that you can calculate where it will take you to. But nowadays, the way it drops, it's like somebody's running away from work. So I think we are being scammed on the right, being scammed on the left. And it's up to the government to protect us. Because like I said, by December, if nothing is done, something else will give. And it will not be palatable.
And in terms of the government now coming in, who should be responsible? What can they do to help rectify or ameliorate the suffering of Nigerians right now?
Go through the chain of supply. Because if you are saying that you have enough and the end user is still paying through the nose, then there's something wrong with the chain of supply. You have to go through it, and whether it's not from your end. I think it's about 4 levels. And but the one we see are the hawkers or the vendors at the end of it. So let's know exactly what's happening. You can't keep telling us that you have gas. Yeah, what we used to buy at 500 is now 1,100. Doesn't make any logical sense. Because if we have enough and we are the producers, why should we be going through this particular trauma?
And if we're to look at other alternatives, which we have less of anyway, but don't you think perhaps we need to look inwards now? If we're going through this challenge, Emeka, do you think perhaps we can, diversify apart from the little options we have to see how we can, not be involved or not get caught up in this kind of quagmire whenever it is?
Yeah, the only other alternative, really viable and affordable alternative, quote unquote, is electricity. If you talk about solar, we are not yet at that point where Nigerians can afford those kinds of devices.
Right.
So it still boils down to the fact that government must help the private sector to expand its capacity to do this, because like one philosopher said, that the government can't change any society.
Right.
Government has its role cut out for it. Government's role is not to change, is not to make your life better, but it's the role of the private sector, because the private sector involves entrepreneurs who bring in money, who trade, who engage in different businesses, So it's their role to make sure that, things get better. But that of government is to regulate, to ensure that in engaging in enterprise, those people, those businessmen do not exploit the people. So that's where the government needs to play its role. DPR, is it what they call them now, NMDPRA or something like that. So they need to really sit up, because you wonder whether that agency still exists. People are being ripped off at the pumps. This is open
Robbery.
Open robbery. People are being robbed at the pumps. Then look at gas. Look at the quality, look at the quantity. What is going on? Who is exactly making sure that things... There was one man, I think he plays a role among those gas producers, He was saying that there's a cartel behind all this. We keep talking about cartels, cabals, and all this. Is it that?
Who they are.
I mean, beyond just knowing who they are, is it that the government doesn't have the capacity to keep them in check? That Nigerians keep suffering and suffering and suffering and suffering. And then these cabals, for crying out loud, are they so powerful that they themselves are inured from the pain that the people are going through? Because people are really going through pain. And I think we should not allow this situation, you know, to
go on
to degenerate. Yes, these things can be controlled. Look at even wood, the way people are just pulling out trees, you know, cutting them and exporting them. You just wonder what is going on. Are we just trying to are we just trying to strip this nation of all its natural resources? Is there a rush, a scramble for Nigerian resources? Even charcoal is being exported. Wood is being exported. You go to the sawmills to buy wood, unless you tell them that, okay, please give me the correct measurement, then you pay extra. You'll be ready to pay extra. Otherwise,
They will scam you.
they will, you just look at the measurement. Well, is it in iron? Is it in wood? Is it in whatever? The quality, the size, the quantity has gone down.
And the weight.
The regulatory agencies need to sit up.
They need to wake up. They are just snoozed. They are just asleep. All of them are asleep.